first thing you do is open the package and take out the drug testing kit. Next, remove the cap from the kit and be sure to notice that in the center of the cap is a little piece of plastic that can be removed. Take out that little piece of plastic in the center of the cap. We call it the key, and you want to hang on to it until you are ready to activate the test. Now you're ready to administer the test. Step 2. Test administration. Give the cap and kit back to your teenager while you hold the key in your hand and ask your son or daughter to go into the bathroom, fill the cup with a sample of their urine. How much do you need? Well, if you notice on the curved side, on the front of the kit, the label is clearly marked minimum fill volume. And you need to let your teen know that you need a sample that will reach that line. Also, ask your teen to place the cap on the sample after they have finished providing the test sample and turn the cap clockwise until it stops, effectively sealing the sample in the testing kit. Once your teen gives you the sample and the cap has sealed the sample in place, then place the bottom of the kit on a flat surface with the flat side of the kit facing you and insert the key into the hole on the right side of the kit and push it in gently as shown until it stops. This activates the test and you will have results in about 5 minutes. Remove the label on the flat side of the kit. Here's how you read the results. After a total of 5 minutes have passed since you pushed the key in to activate the test, you can read the results and find out which, if any, drugs your teen has been using. If you notice, there are 5 test windows. At the top of each window is a C, which stands for the control line, as in quality control. Next to each C, you will want to see a horizontal line in the window. If there is no line, then the test did not work properly. If there is, then it's working exactly like it's supposed to. With any of the test lines, it does not matter how light or dark the lines are at all. A light line means the same as a dark line. Below the C in each testing window, you will see either numbers or a letter T. Those numbers, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or the letter T correspond with the numbers and the accompanying drug classification abbreviations shown below the testing window. For example, in the first window, moving from left to right, under the test window it says 1 MAMP, which indicates that the space next to the 1 in the above window will be testing for methamphetamines. Below that, the kit label says 2 COC, which means that in the space next to the 2 in the window above, the kit will be testing for cocaine. Below that, the kit label says 3 THC, which means that in the space next to the 3 in the above window, the kit will be testing for THC, i.e. marijuana. Moving from left to right, the following abbreviations represent tests for the following drug classifications. AMP equals amphetamines, OPI equals opiates, OXY equals oxycodone or oxycontin, PPX equals propoxyphene, BZO equals benzodiazepines, BAR equals barbiturates, and MDMA equals ecstasy. There you have it. Tests for the most common drugs of abuse that kids find on the streets, as well as prescription drugs that they find in medicine cabinets of family members and friends alike. This is important, and I'd like to go into a bit more detail. To read the test, you simply look for a line to appear in the test window right next to the number or the T. Again, it does not matter how light or dark the line is, only that it exists. You want to see lines next to every C and every number and the T for a drug-free sample. If a line is absent next to a number or a T, then you need to have a conversation with your teen because you can't rule this as a drug-free sample. What you see before you is a drug-free sample. If, for example, there was no line next to the THC, then it would appear that your teen had been using marijuana. If there was no line next to COC, then it would appear that your teen had been using cocaine, and so on. Step 4. Let's talk about adulteration. There is the possibility of teens who are committed to drug use, or not getting caught, attempting to substitute, dilute, or adulterate their sample. If you suspect your teen has tried to adulterate the sample and mask their usage, in 2 to 5 minutes you may read the adulteration strips and compare the colors to those on the color code chart that came with your order. In an effort to detect popular adulteration attempts, or common techniques like overhydrating, you've been given color-coded adulterant detectors on your kits and a color-coded chart that gives you the acceptable ranges and alerts you if you should be concerned. The adulterant detectors for the most common approaches appear on the left of your result card and are marked OX for oxidants, SG for specific gravity, and pH for pH obviously. Just like you don't have to be an expert in electricity to know if a light is on or off in a room, you don't have to be a lab technician or a doctor to understand everything about OX, SG, and pH in order to discover that the sample you were given was adulterated. If your teen tried to dilute a sample using the faucet to get clear water in their sample, it is likely that it would move the temperature above or below the acceptable range on the temperature strip located on the front of the kit. If there's an absence of color on the temperature strip, then it is likely that you just identified an attempt to dilute or substitute a clean alternative sample that they collected in advance from a friend and kept it hidden out of sight until you decided to test them. If you suspect that your teen is highly likely to substitute someone else's clean sample in the kit or add adulterants to try to mask their usage, then you may choose to observe them as they fill the cup with their fresh sample. Other things you can do to prevent tampering besides observing the collection include putting one of the blue toilet bowl cleaners that you can pick up at a local department or drugstore for about $1 into the reservoir of your toilet and prohibiting them from turning on the water faucet to wash their hands in the sink until after they have given you their sample. If your teen tried dipping the cup into the blue toilet water in an effort to dilute the sample, then you would notice the obvious discoloration through the clear cup design and know that an attempt at adulteration was made. The final step is gaining perspective. Since the main objective of our whole approach and system is to keep kids who have never done drugs from trying them, and to prevent kids who may be experimenting with drugs from becoming addicted, in these two instances, it's not very common or likely that kids would go to the extremes of tampering with or attempting to substitute samples. However, be advised that there are kids who strive to keep using and they have been known to do so. If you discover this kind of commitment to using drugs, then seeking professional assistance may be wise. However, parents of kids who have been addicted or are recovering from addiction might be well advised to pay closer attention to the temperature strips, visually inspect the sample through the clear cup design for foreign substances, and check the adulterant detectors. Admittedly, observed collections can be a touchy subject in some families and may or may not be necessary. If you're a parent and you sense that games are being played or don't feel comfortable relying on your interpretation of adulterant detectors, then you might be well advised to contact a counselor and or take your teen to a lab or a family doctor and have the tests administered in an environment similar to those for related drug tests that companies routinely have performed on their employees and applicants. Believe it or not, teens have been known to say the tests were defective or working improperly when their drug use was discovered. Do not be surprised if the test indicates drug use and your teen cries foul, claims the test is effective, and tries to guilt you into believing them and swears on their life that they didn't do drugs. There is no need to argue. Simply offer to have a confirmation test performed at a lab on that sample, or go immediately and have a fresh sample donated at the lab that day. If you wait a few days to take them to the lab and have them give another sample, their body may get enough time to clear the drugs out of their system and they know, or at least hope, they'll get away with it. You might want to give your teen the opportunity to tell the truth and admit their usage before sending it to the lab for confirmation. Some parents explain that the consequences will be more severe and the cost of performing the confirmation test will become the responsibility of the teen if results come back to prove that they used drugs and continue to lie about it when they were given the chance to come clean. More often than not, the teens will confess and the confirmation won't be necessary. However, in the highly unlikely event that there was some sort of cross-reaction with something that caused a false reading, as teens who are caught will often attempt to claim, a GCMS confirmation test, which is the kind the lab should perform for a confirmation test, should reveal the truth, and you should never be in a position of placing a false accusation against your teen.